Hey guys, Sean, Jason, and Robert from Never Free to Play here. We're just doing a quick little reaction video on some recent news that, of all people, actually Karch told us about, or was the one who caught, because he's good at not working and watching all of these streams and reveals. Where during QuakeCon today, Bethesda announced that, for the 10-year anniversary of Skyrim, they'll be dropping what they're calling Skyrim Anniversary Edition. So a real quick breakdown on that. Well, there's a couple pieces of news. One is that they're going to be dropping some additional, probably what is called the Creation Club content, including fishing and some additional Saints and Seducers, which has been content. Which is Saint and Seducers is one of their more popular and more successful Creation Club. But also they added that they'll be coming out with the Skyrim Anniversary Edition, which will include Skyrim Special Edition. So the remaster they made for the last gen consoles. And then all of the previous, all of the Creation Club content. So that's like 500 plus items is what they're toting that as. They've also stated that there'll be an upgrade coming for the series, the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5 consoles.
And that'll be a free upgrade, right?
And that'll be a free upgrade along with, it sounds like the fishing and the Saint and Seducers. The three items are coming. Sounds like that'll be a free update. And so, but the anniversary edition, I think, is its own separate thing. So to me, reading it sounds like it's almost like Skyrim Special Edition, the Collector's Edition. It's all of the content they've ever created, all the Creation Club content. So basically, you can buy it once and get all that Creation Club content instead of having to go into the Creation Club and buy it separately. At least that's what I hope it is. So before I get into the weeds on this, because I live and breathe Skyrim far more frequently than I probably should, Jason and Robert, what do you guys think about this?
I'll let Robert go first.
I pensively hum.
No.
Just through pure chance, it's been enough time that I would probably play this new edition coming out, if only to see. Well, what were you gonna say?
Did you ever play Special Edition when it came out?
Gosh.
Or did you just play it on the 360?
Over the years, I came back to it on random different platforms. So I probably played that at one point in time.
Okay. So, but you're saying that it's been enough time that you're ready to step back into the frozen north of Skyrim.
Yeah. Well, by all means, like as I told you before, I have the VR Skyrim, but
it's too dangerous.
It's too dangerous. Right. We're not going to go into that, but this new one, if it's got enough of like the content that I never got to because I didn't stick around as long as you have, Sean, I'll give it a try. Why not?
So what I'll tell you. So you probably played Dawnguard and Dragonborn, because those were like the two big DLCs they put, or expansions they put out for Skyrim. Mm-hmm. The Creation Club content's kind of interesting because some of it's like side projects from developers at Bethesda. Some of it was actually like they let other studios make some stuff, and a lot of it was mod creators that Bethesda partnered with, and so those mod creators actually saw a portion of the sales of those items. One key thing on that is, with a few very small exceptions, none of that content was allowed to record new dialogue. My understanding of it is it had to do with basically the voice actors guild. And so a lot of those the quests and whatnot they added were either they reused dialogue that was already in the game, or it was like, oh, this person I've been following is dead, but here's their journal. I'll get an update by reading their journal. So It's not quite as deep of story content as some of the other stuff you could have gotten.
Mm-hmm. It feels more like retconning than it does new
and some of it's weird because it introduces like some things from Elder Scrolls Online and some of the other things that like probably aren't necessarily canon within the Elder Scrolls universe, at least not when compared to a base game or the base game expansions.
Are they doing anything for like quality of life or visuals or anything like that? Because like to me, I'm not one to really ever play DLC. Usually my psyche is when I'm done with the game, I'm done with the game. Yeah, I'm not going back to it.
Right.
Now Skyrim's always an exception, but I don't really get into the DLC. So are there other upgrades that come along with this?
We don't know. They've said that there's going to be a what is now the current gen console upgrade. Now, whether or not that includes a graphical overhaul or whatnot, I don't know. I can tell you right now that playing Skyrim Special Edition on my Xbox Series S, it gets an FPS boost. Instead of running at like 30 FPS, it runs at 60 FPS. But whether they're going to up the graphics or whatnot, I don't know. Like I said, they're calling it the special edition with all the add-ons. Now that said, when the Xbox One X came out, they put out a patch. If you were playing it on the One X, and it up-resed all the graphics to 4K. So it's interesting because if you play it on the Xbox Series X right now, you get that patch. On the Series S, you don't, which is actually preferable because the way they did the 4K upscaling makes the game less stable and therefore makes it harder to mod on. So actually the Series S is kind of considered the best of the Xbox platforms to mod Skyrim on.
Now, does that include PC, though?
So there is going to be an Anniversary Edition. You can get the 4K patch on PC that came out for the Xbox One X. I assume whatever upgrade they put out for the next gen consoles will also be available on PC. That's how they've done it in the past.
Talk to us about the modding side of this, because obviously, like, one of the sticking points for Skyrim, and I think what's kept people playing it for this long and was kept it so important is the modding community. And so, like, what does the modding community feel about this?
Yeah, so an interesting thing was we've gotten some as I dug into this, I got some additional information. So originally it was like, hey, we're putting out Skyrim Anniversary Edition, and that was all that I had initially seen, and I think Bethesda has come out with some addition since the original QuakeCon announcement that has clarified, because there's this concern here, because if you go back to original Skyrim getting released back in 2011, and then the special edition coming out almost 5 years ago now, I think. That was a big deal in the modding community because the game went from, I think, 32-bit to 64-bit in the underlying engine. And therefore, a lot of the mods that were made for what's now called the Legendary Edition, which is the original Skyrim, didn't innately work on Special Edition. And so they had to be modified and ported over. And there's a key thing in Skyrim modding called the Skyrim Script Extender, SKSE. And that had to be turned into SKSE 64. And that allows you to create mods that basically allows you to run more scripts than the base game will allow you to do. It's actually a separate program you run alongside Skyrim, which is one reason it's not available on Xbox. But they had to spend, the community took a long time to get SKSE to run properly for Special Edition. So there was this concern of, hey, is Anniversary Edition going to be that type of jump again? And is it going to completely discombobulate the modding community again? Given the way that Bethesda is saying, hey, Anniversary Edition is Skyrim Special Edition plus all the Creation Club content, I don't think that's the case, and I think we'll be okay there. There is one other small hiccup, which is, for the first couple years of Skyrim Special Edition, Bethesda would put out about once a year a big drop of Creation Club content. And the way they really did that was they patched the game, and all the content was then downloaded onto the game. But you needed it needed to flick a switch when you purchased the content for it to show up in the game. This caused some problems because essentially the way it's entered in the game is very similar to mods, and so it caused issues with mods. Now, the community has come up with a way the way they code their mods, I think, to avoid that being a problem in the future, but whether or not all the mods have been updated to take on that new best practice is debatable. So there's a good chance that when Anniversary Edition drops and we get that upgrade and those that fishing and that other stuff that's going to be a part of the game, it may jank up the modding community, and it'll take a while for the modding community to recover and basically tweak their mods to run properly on Skyrim again.
Is the modding community dedicated enough to do this every single time?
I mean, they've done it every time they've dropped new Creation Club content. So
that's what I assumed.
Where you run into problems is where you've had mod authors that had created well loved mods, and then they move on with their lives, and they don't always leave their mods with open permissions, and so no one's allowed to take the files and modify them and re-upload. And then you run into problems. So we will have to see how that plays out. It may play havoc with my current Xbox Series S load order. But like I said, a lot of those mods have been tweaked over time. So it'll be interesting. I foresee it being an injection of kind of excitement back in the Skyrim again for a little bit. There is some definite hesitancy checking on subreddits and on Nexus on people being like, do I really want to put my mod out right now, or should I wait until Anniversary Edition comes out? Because it comes out in less than 3 months now, because it's gonna drop on November 11, 21. And then therefore be able to just tweak my mod by dropping it now, and then within 3 months have to go and modify my, update my mod again.
So is there, you as a Skyrim like super fan, is there anything here that excites you that you haven't already experienced?
So I'll tell you, I have a mod for fishing in my Lodor. It's not a very it lets me fish, but it's not very you could tell that it's a mod. It's not very well. It's as well done as they could do on the Xbox with the resources available to them. So I am excited to see some fishing. I would love if for the next gen consoles, if they upped my allowed mod count and mod space, because it would let me download more mods. That'd be awesome.
and that's kind of a limitation of modding on consoles. So I imagine it may be somewhat up to Xbox and not just Bethesda, but now that...
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing, because Sony has very different rules about modding than Microsoft does. So Sony, no new assets were allowed, which very heavily limits what you can do with mods, whereas Microsoft was basically, hey, as long as it doesn't need to run a separate side program and it's it's not nudity or stuff like that, go for it. So I mean, Jason, you saw my modded Skyrim when you were here last weekend.
It was amazing.
With my improved graphics and all my additional pieces of gear and improved systems. So to be able to take that a step further would be pretty cool. I don't think we're going to get something like SKSE being able to run on the Xbox. So that would be awesome, because it would then basically give you parity with PC. But we'll get some cool new Skyrim content. Like I said, the Saints and Seducers is probably the best of the Creation Club story content. So to get an extension of that story will be kind of cool. I just recently got it because it was on sale like a month or two back, and I just played it for the first time, and it was pretty fun.
Talk to me about how this plays with Game Pass.
From what I read, if you have Game Pass, you're getting Anniversary Edition, or you'll be able to get Anniversary Edition.
Neat.
Because Special Edition is on there, right? Well, yeah. So Special Edition, I take it back. You'll be able to get the 3 additional pieces of content and the next gen console upgrade is what I read. Because that they said that's what the free update from Special Edition is, and Special Edition is on Game Pass. So they said it'll be available on Game Pass. Now I think the Anniversary Edition, if I had to guess, because it really is just buying all the Creation Club content, that'll probably still be a separate purchase.
Gotcha.
But you'll get fishing. So, there's that.
I realize that they have, a lot to live up to for fishing, but all I know is if they could only...
Poor Clemic living in Iverstead has been, that's his career, but there's no way for him to actually go fishing in the games. I don't know how the man's been living. I don't know how he's been getting the dried fish that he sends up to High Hrothgar every couple of weeks.
Look, if they could... I know that they have the ability to make a mod like that is amazing, because if you can fit in Ocarina of Time fishing as the best fishing ever in any video game,
Ocarina of Time fishing is pretty great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got high hopes. It's interesting. I'll give you one little conspiracy theory, and then we'll go around for final thoughts. One of the early Creation Club mods was a survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most well respected mods out there are two called Frostfall and Campfire. They pair together and they make Skyrim a survival mode, and they're done by a mod author called Chesko. Chesko has been inactive for years now, but there is a running theory that he actually got hired by Bethesda and he made the survival Creation Club mod. One of the last mods he was working on before he walked away from Skyrim modding was called Art of the Catch, and it was going to be a mod that introduced fishing into Skyrim. So there's a chance that maybe Chesko has actually been hired by Bethesda and he's been working on this and is now finishing his little bit of work here. But whether or not that's true, we have no idea. But yeah, Robert, final thoughts.
Willing to give it another try. Why not? Yeah.
Damn right. We should. Jason, final thoughts.
I am.
You gonna play Skyrim?
I'm interested to see how much the Xbox Game Pass version allows me to mod.
I mean, you'll at least be able to mod everything I can mod right now.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I might jump back into it. I'm probably more inclined to play the VR version of Skyrim that I already own than I am to go into this. Just because that's like a different way for me to experience Skyrim that I haven't already. But I mean, it's exciting. I'm glad this
you can
exists.
get Skyrim with combat mods, man, and it makes it a complete difference.
Yeah. No, I totally, like, I saw the dodge mods and different things that you showed me. That's awesome. And I do get like something we haven't touched on here, and I know we're kind of running short on our time target, but something we haven't touched on here is like the discontent within the community, and I can understand people maybe being frustrated
I think there's just a lot of uncertainty right now. There's a concern that we're going to get this. It's going to break a lot of mods, but
well, is there any concern that like why did they put time into this instead of Elder Scrolls 6?
I honestly, when I was scrolling around, I saw none of that.
Okay, well that's cool. I mean, they understand, and that's good.
There's a large chunk of the Skyrim modding community that has basically resigned themselves to the fact that Elder Scrolls 6 will be inferior to whatever we're capable of doing with modded Skyrim at this point.
And I think that's a fair assessment.
Mm-hmm.
So, my final thoughts is I think we should all play it, if only because it would really, really annoy Karch.
Well, to that end, should we just get on Elder Scrolls Online? Because I do own that.
I believe it's on Game Pass, so I could probably play it.
Well, Karch doesn't have a foot to stand on here because of how many Kingdom Hearts iterations that he has played.
And Final Fantasy and Pokemon.
And, exactly. The same game over and over. So he can't say anything here. Okay.
He's not allowed.
Yeah.
All right. Jason, you want to take us out?
Yep. So that's what we have for you. So I'm just going to do the regular sign off here. So later, skaters. I love this podcast. I love video games. I love you two lovely NFers. You all have a fantastic week. We will try, but we are never free to play.
Foos Roda, guys.